kind of a controversial one. Why God is definitely real, and what it means for him to be real, and my personal beliefs on that kind of thing. So I am a Christian. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus resurrected. But I am not a devout Christian. I do not follow everything the Bible says. I'm like a lot of Christians, but I don't pretend. See, you probably know a lot of Christians that say they're a devout Christian, follow the Bible. I don't go to church, but these people might go to church every Sunday, but they are still taking part in degenerate activities and sinning all the time, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's just hard to take people like that seriously whenever they can't even believe their delusion. But that's besides the point. My viewpoints are that we were put here by God about 10,000-ish years ago, and since then we've been evolving, adapting to our environment. I believe that Adam and Eve were real, but that's not important. That stuff's not important. The main point I'm trying to get at is how God can affect your life and how you should perceive God in your life, in my opinion. So the way I perceive God in my life is, oh my God, there's absolutely no way. There's a guy riding a bike on the road. That's fucking crazy. Whatever. Sorry, that was insane. Anyway, the way I perceive God is that God is always watching over you, and God will present you with opportunities and give you the ability to take advantage of them. And what that means is, what a lot of people think of God is a miracle worker, is he will do things for you. You can expect him to do good things for you, but that's not how it works. How God works and what God does is a miracle. It's beautiful, but it doesn't mean it's just gonna happen. God will present you with amazing opportunities and amazing things, but if you're not at a point in your life where you can take advantage of those opportunities and make the most out of them, that's where you failed. See, the idea that you should follow a Christian culture and be a good Christian, it's not necessarily that if you're not a good Christian you won't go to heaven. The reason you want to be a good Christian is so whenever you're given this opportunity to whatever, meet a girl, get a job, meet new people, you were at a point in your life where you are a good enough person where you can take advantage of that opportunity and make the most of it. And what most people do is pray and pray to God, like, God, please, I'm praying to you, God, help me. But they're not taking any action themselves to improve their life. So those people, I'm sure they have had a multitude of opportunities that were placed in front of them by God where they just ignored it. And that's where the devil comes in. The devil will also place opportunities in front of you that look too good to be true. And most of the time they are. And whenever you find those certain opportunities that were placed in front of you by the devil, that is where a lot of growth happens, because it leads you into temptation and leads you into, sinning. But just because you fall into temptation or take advantage of an opportunity that was placed in front of you by the devil, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're going to hell. It just means you need to learn from that and continue to get better, and then be able to identify which of those opportunities are good and which are bad. And it's not easy. It's super difficult. Like, I'll use an example. Let's say you meet a girl and you really like her. Y'all are hanging out and you're like, wow, I think I might want a relationship with this girl. I feel like I might be able to have a future with this girl. But as you continue being with her, she seems to only like being around you whenever y'all are in a sexual setting. And it's almost like she only fulfills you sexually. And that is a huge giveaway. That's not a good opportunity. That is not a good person to be with. That is not a good mother for your kids. If she's only taking advantage of you for the sexual pleasure, instead of being a loving person who truly cares about you. And that's just like a very broad example. It's a very specific example. I mean, but little stuff like that can, dictate the people you're with, how you react to certain situations, stuff like that. But I try my best to work as hard as I can, be a good person, be good towards others, be positive, help others, and I try very hard to focus on these opportunities that are placed in front of me and making the most out of them, and trying to avoid these negative opportunities that on paper look great. You're like, wow, this is such a great opportunity. But once you dig deeper into it, you're like, wow, comes with a lot of negatives and isn't necessarily something I want to be a part of. And that's not me. Those are just my opinions. Like, you can feel free to disagree with me, but I am a firm believer that God has a path laid out for everyone, and just because that path is laid out doesn't mean it's just gonna happen. He has laid out a beautiful path for you to follow if you are willing to be the person to follow it, if that makes sense. I don't know if I worded that very well, but if you are able to improve yourself continuously and continue moving forward and following that path that is laid out in front of you and not straying away, I believe that is, it's so hard to explain stuff like this. I'm trying really hard, but I don't know. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. There's a path set out in front of you, and you can only follow that path if you are willing to sacrifice certain things and be a good enough person. I don't know. It's hard to, it makes sense in my mind. It's just very difficult to put into words. But, those are my beliefs on God, and I think God's real. And yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If y'all have